Hello, everyone, and welcome this Saturday to another Masterpiece Conversation. I'm excited about all the things that are happening here in Masterpiece. I believe that is an amazing opportunity for us to redo things, relearn things, and put things in place. After all, guess what this month of March is going to be about? It's going to be about change. Yes. So if you're joining us, let us know where you're joining from. My name is Tina. I'll be your facilitator for today. And we are going to talk about change. It's amazing, right? Isn't that the word that we all love and don't want also to hear? But that is a word that we all live with. Change, change, change. This is a month of embracing change. And we're going to be talking through change, how that looks like, how do we manage it, how do we embrace it, how do we feel comfortable in it. Oh, yeah, I know. Feel comfortable in it. And we have a book of the month, which if you don't have, I want you to get. It's called Who Moved My Cheese. It's a very small book. You can just read it, or get an audio of it and listen to it. But it's applicable to so many areas of our lives. And as we start this journey of change and how do we manage it, I believe that this will teach us a lot of things. But today, if you are excited as I am, I have a friend, I have a board member. I have someone who has been here with us on Masterpiece, so many capacities, so many, different ways. She is a board member on our board here at Masterpiece. She's been behind the scenes, a lot of the programming that you see, a lot of the things that you see happening. We have some brains behind it, and she's one of those people driving it behind the scenes, right? And then she's also a mentor. So for those of you who are thinking about the mentoring program, she's a mentor on the mentoring program for the youth. And she is a lot of things to us here at Masterpiece. You've met her before, but if you haven't, on the Facebook page, and by the way, I'm talking about the page, make sure to like, follow, share with someone, and come along as we go through our change as well. But help me welcome Akosua Asante. She's going to join me today as we have this tete-a-tete about change and how do we get comfortable with it? How do we embrace it as we go through this month talking about change? Welcome, Akosua. Hey, if you're on there, I want you to show her some love. I want you to give me some hearts to say, yes, Akosua, we appreciate you joining, taking the time, you know. But hey, Akosua, I'm so excited to have you again on this conversation. I believe this is going to be a great time. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much, Miss Tina. It's a pleasure to be on this program again, and I am so excited talking about change today. So I'm very happy to be here. It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, we've met you so many times. Some of us know you in and out. We know Akosia, the QA manager, the mother of two kids, the married woman, the professional woman. But some people have never met you because now we are on the page and it's changed. Okay, so now we want to tell them in your own words, who is Akos? We want to get to meet Akos in person.
Wow. Well, it's hard to say, but like you introduced me, I definitely am into so many things. I
Yes.
love life. I love to help people. That's why I'm part of Masterpiece because that's what Masterpiece does, helping people and immigrants assimilate. I definitely love that idea. On my day to day, yes, I go to work as a QA manager, but outside of that, I do a lot of things. And one of my favorite things is really to travel and see and explore and learn about people and learn about places and things. So, in a
Yeah.
nutshell, that's Akosua.
Amazing. She's a world traveler. You could go anywhere with her. So if you're thinking about your next trip, you know your girl, just find her.
Yep,
you know. But of course, on a more serious note, we are talking about change. For us here, it is important because we've changed. This year, we've changed a lot of things about how we operate, how we are doing things. We are more focused on the programs that we offer. And, when we talk so much change, people are wondering, so what is this whole thing about change, change, change? What it is? I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. What is change all about? Should we be even bothered about this change thing? And why change? Why do we have to change now? You
that's
know?
a great question. That is definitely a great question, but I'm sure most of you here have heard that the only constant in life is change, which is a
Yeah.
very interesting way of putting it, right?
Mhm.
It's the movement of time, right, that tends to lead to all the differences we see every day that we wake up. We
Yeah.
see differences in our appearance because we are growing, because change is happening. We
Mm.
see differences in our emotional states because we are
Mhm.
in different conditions of life. We see different conditions around us. Today there is war, tomorrow there's a new government. At
Mhm.
work, there is a new leader. There is, an additional person that has joined the team. The business has grown. The business fell apart. The business is no more. Change is constant in our lives. Like every day that
Mhm.
we wake up is a new day because there is change, right?
There's change.
On some days it's subtle. In some moments it's not so subtle. Change can be sudden. Change can be slow. Change can come in so many ways. But I cannot agree with the saying more that change is the only true constant in life because that's happening to everybody, every moment of our lives.
Mhm.
So we definitely need to be conscious and aware of change, and we need to talk about it. We
Yeah.
cannot shelve it. This is a good conversation to have because
Mhm.
it's so much a part of who we are, our lives,
Yeah.
and we all know nobody lives here forever because of change. Change
Yeah.
happens all the time,
All the time.
constantly. So yes, I'm glad we are talking about it. And in a nutshell,
Mm.
change is the constant thing in life, indeed.
So every day we are experiencing change, is what you're saying.
Oh,
Every day, every minute, every hour, change is happening. Is that shift from one thing to the other
mhm.
that is constituting the change that we are seeing in our lives and the people around us? So, what is the like thing? Because I was thinking for us as immigrants, we will be so conversant with change because it's such a huge thing to take all your stuff, leave the people that you love, the people you've grown up with, and just move to another country and sometimes barely know anyone or know one person. And then just go through this whole change to, get into a place that you have to succeed and do well. So do we, I mean, I'm like, it's almost like a paradox. Do we really understand that concept of change, or are we just going with the flow like, oh, I just moved to the US and that's it? Are we missing out on really processing the change and the amount of things that we have to go through to be in a new country like the US?
Yeah, that's also amazing question leading to your from the first. So I believe that most of us are afraid of change because of the fear of the unknown,
Mm,
because we are about to lose control. We don't want you want to think about it that it will happen. No, 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 I don't want to think
right,
about it that it will happen to me. It's that unpredictability that comes with change, right?
right.
So I think that is what happens. That's our natural tendency that, and I'm
Mm,
glad you talked about the book in the beginning, right? When we have found the cheese and we are comfortable and
yeah.
hey, everything is working, why fix it? Why do something different? I mean, I'm comfortable, I can get my daily bread to eat. Why change?
Mm,
Unfortunately, change is happening whether we like it or we don't. And
mm,
so it's the way we think about it, right? And we
yeah.
kind of prepare for it because it's happening whether we like it or not. Talking about the immigrant, you know how that fear of the unknown, that fear can make you do things sometimes in a positive way, sometimes also hold you back, right? So
Right.
sometimes when the fear is grave, you run for your life, right? You take the desperate measures, the things that you never thought you would do. You do it so that you overcome that fear. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same as the immigrant. The immigrant said, I want to go to this other place, this other country, this other nation, and have a life, have a different life, have a better life, right? So that fear, that fear that was in us forced us or moved us to go to that other place. But
Right.
moving and changing that location, does not stop the change from happening. Change
Mm.
continues to happen. So our natural selves is okay. Are we comfortable because we got to that place and now that's all we wanted, right? To be away from a different environment, to be in this new environment. I have the cheese that I want to eat. I'm
Yep.
already here. I'm already in this country, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's all good. Or do we do a little more? Do we push ourselves more? I think that should be the conversation, because again, it did not stop. Change did not stop because you moved.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's a different day, a different time, and a different age, a different condition, change continues to happen. So you want to continue to push yourself to prepare for the change. Just migrating is not enough. Sometimes that's, the beginning of more changes that's going to happen. So you want to definitely continue to evolve, continue to plan for the change, and continue to adapt in the change.
Amazing. You said so much right there. Like just migrating is not the end of the change. Actually, I feel like it's the beginning
Mm.
of the real change, like the cultural shocks that you're about to experience, like the things that you didn't know how to say and how to even think through that you're about to now see and figure out. Those are the things. And I feel like sometimes we are not prepared for change, even though we may raise our hands and say, yes, there's a great opportunity to travel and I'm here, but I'm not prepared. So, is there a way for us to prepare for change since we know that change is constantly happening? Change is always happening around us. Is there a way for us to be prepared for change? I know some changes we cannot always be prepared for, but is there a way that we can prepare for the most part for some of the changes that we know are going to happen? We know our kids are going to grow up. We know we are going to experience the teenagers. We know we're raising them in America and not in a certain place, right? We know these are all things that we know. Can we prepare for change?
Certainly, Miss Tina, yes, we can, especially the changes that we know are obvious.
Yeah.
All of us know we are going to grow, like you said. All of us know we are going to die. A day will come that will be no more. We can prepare for that. All of us know our kids are growing. We can prepare for that. All of us know that if they change, we want a change in our financial situations. We can prepare for that. All of us know that, sometimes you may not want to stay at a job forever in your life. You can prepare for that. So there are certain changes that and the word is knowing, right?
You
The
know.
changes that you know are coming, you can prepare for it. And it makes that change easier to accept, to adapt to, right?
Mm.
There are certain changes, though, that we can't help, right? Those changes may be sudden,
Right.
we don't see it coming and it happens. Those are a little bit harder, but there is a way of dealing with that kind of change as well.
Mm.
So as humans, we are equipped to deal with all the changes that may happen, be it sudden, be gradual, however it comes. We are equipped to adapt, to be able to prepare, or if not prepared, to deal with the change when it happens, even when it comes in an unprepared manner. So, yes,
Mm.
knowing the type of change definitely helps you prepare.
Wow. So of course, then if you're saying that, then I'm thinking, let me start with that immigrant journey here, right? Because one of the things that we focus here on a lot is the journey of an immigrant, just helping to get you situated and all that. But let's say you come here, you made the change, you made it to America, great. and now you even got a job and you're starting to work in, in a healthcare setting, or you're helping as a CNA, and that is good. That is a good change that has happened from where you didn't even have a job to having a job. That is huge, right? But then how do you prepare for this next level? Because a lot of people just settle, like you said, for this cheese that we found. Now we have a CNA job, and that is going to take us, right, to the end. But we forget that we are going to grow. 50, we may not be able to lift up people. 60, we may not be able to do that same type of work. And so my question is there foresight that we can apply that can help us? Maybe it's a starting point. I'm doing this for a little bit and I'm going to go here. I'm saving my money so I can buy a house. I'm renting now, but I want to go here. So with change, as we plan for change, is there also like these actionable things that we have to do in the process of getting to that, or even knowing, like expecting that change to happen?
Yeah. So we all should understand that during change, information is key.
Mm,
That when you are going through any kind of change and you have information, information is power.
yeah.
So you want to equip yourself with that knowledge. If
Mm,
you take the immigrant, if you migrate to a certain place, you want to equip yourself with understanding of the new place, of the
mm,
new people, of the new culture, what certain things mean, what it means to succeed in that environment, right? Be it for your career, for your children, for yourself, self improvement, whatever that may be. It all boils down to information. So let
information.
us remember, yeah, that information is very powerful during change. Now, knowing or having that information helps you go through the change. So, if you are looking at change that's going to happen in the future, say your children are going to college, then you have to decide what are the things I need to do to be ready for my children to go to college or to set them up for success, right?
Yeah.
In order for them to even gain admission to a place, a school that I want them to go study. You are looking at your body, and your body, you are growing, your body is always changing. You need information to understand what are the key things I need to do to stay healthy as my
Mm,
body evolves, as my body changes, right? How do I deal with it, right? Everybody is going to be, gain age, gain time on your body. So, at some point, you need to understand what's happening to you and how do you deal with it. And so learning and knowing what that future is, right? Having a picture of the end helps you prepare as you go through
mm,
the change. So you want to understand or tell yourself what you want that end to look like for you as you go through the change. And as soon as you understand or you prepare, you set your mind to what that end looks like, that is what drives what your preparation should also be like, right? So if you decide that that end is, having a career change, then you start working on, do I need to have more education? Do I need to go get a certification? Do I need to just switch a job? Do I just need a promotion? How do I do that? Then you take the next step, right? To
mm,
make sure that you work yourself through to that change. Now, if
mm,
you don't, and you sit and you are stuck in your ways and you don't, get the information, the opposite is dangerous because the change does happen. You are unprepared for it, you are unhappy with it, and
mm,
you are just always, complaining and grumbling and whining, and that's not a happy place to be. So
yeah.
you definitely want to look at the end and then prepare to get to that end.
Oh, this is so good, because you see the end, or you think about the end, and you prepare yourself for that, knowing the change that is going to happen. You even talk something about our health, and how sometimes we are deceived to think that we can eat the same way that we used to eat in a certain place. And we did more in a certain place with walking and with doing so much activity. And now you're in a different place where it's colder. It's more easier to gain more weight because you're not walking that much, right? And then we are deceived, when this change is happening, to assume that, oh, nothing is really happening. So when you said that change can be gradual, That is so important because it's almost like the atomic habit that we read about last year. And we're saying little bits of changes can actually come up to a compound change. So what it's good to take out of this is, coming into a new environment, knowing it, having the information is going to help us to make good decisions, you know. But what about if I don't seek the information?
Let's
Or I
talk
don't want to know the information?
let's talk about the ant and the dinosaur.
Yeah,
Let's discuss the ant and the dinosaur.
right.
And if you take the life of the ant is constantly moving. It's a tiny, tiny animal, but it's constantly preparing for change, for the future, for changing seasons, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
it's survived all these years till now. Now, we all read books about the dinosaur, which should have been a huge creature, but the dinosaurs are extinct today.
right.
Why? Because they didn't prepare for change.
Wow.
Survival of the fittest. They are gone, they are extinct. I think that can be compared to life and how you deal with change and how you don't deal with change, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't accept that change is happening and you are not planning and you are not working on it, guess what? You become extinct. Maybe not in the in literally an extinct animal, an extinct being, but then you are no more valuable. Think
Or
of people
relevant.
relevant. Think
Yeah.
of people at work who've worked there for 30 years and they don't know how to type and they don't know how to, all these new systems, they complain about them and they're like, oh, I can't deal with this. And when you go for meetings and they are there, they can't contribute because they have not prepared. They have not allowed themselves to evolve as the change was happening. Today, we have a lot of virtual things going on because what happened 3 years ago with the pandemic, it forced a lot of changes. So if you don't have a mindset of change and you are stuck in your ways, you can't continue. And very soon you don't see, that you don't see yourself as relevant. Then
Mm,
you're complaining. Then you're like, oh, somebody doesn't like me. And then, it goes on and on. But what you are doing to yourself is you are making yourself like the dinosaur, right? You are there, but
mm,
you're not growing, you are not adapting, and change is just constantly happening around you.
mm,
So you want to get the information. It's not a
mm.
healthy place to be. If we go to the book that you mentioned at the beginning, Who Moved My Cheese, I looked at Hem and Haw.
Yeah.
And Hem and Haw, they could have made a change real quick. I mean, once Kerry and the other one left, they could have just, they are not here. Let's just go figure out what they are doing and let's learn from them, or at least we'll check on and see what's going on
Right.
and learn from them. It took them forever. They were losing weight because, I mean, they didn't even see the change happening.
Yeah.
Even though the cheese didn't get moved like suddenly, in their case, the
Yeah.
change was very slow, subtle, and gradual. They didn't see because they were comfortable. Because every
Mm,
day they came, they got something to eat, whether it
mm,
was small or it was as much as it used to be. They didn't care. As long
mm,
as they were there and they saw the cheese, they were comfortable and they're happy. So it's not great, or it's not good to be in that zone where you get comfortable and you don't want to adapt. You're not thinking of the change. And
mm.
then when that change hits you, it hits you hard because you did not prepare,
Wow.
because you didn't make up your mind, you did not tune yourself to that change that was happening. So you don't want to be in that place where you're not seeking for information. In today's
Mm,
world, everybody, the information is right at your feet, on your fingertip, on that phone that you are holding, right? Even if you can't read, it's all audible. You can listen
you
to it.
can listen.
You can, there is so much information out there. Not
Yeah.
like even our parents' time where it wasn't so accessible. Now it's really at your fingertips.
It's
So
really.
it's great to be in tune, to read, to listen, to fish for information, to educate yourself, to improve yourself, and get yourself positioned and ready for changes that are happening in life constantly.
Wow, wow, because that is so great. Hey, if you're joining us again, thank you. I see all of you who are joining. I want you to keep commenting. Yes, some great comments coming in. That is amazing to see the engagement that we are getting across the platforms for this conversation. But of course, as you were talking about getting information, seeking information actually, and us being able to get what we need to be able to succeed, which is one of the things that we do here. We say we support immigrants, we want them to succeed. But then that also tells me that for us to even grow, to learn, we need change. Change becomes like that catalyst that propels us to learn something, find something, get something that will move us to where we want to be. So when we get that information and we say, okay, now this is something I could actually learn on YouTube, right? This is something I could actually learn through Masterpiece for crucial conversations and get the skills I need to help me to have good communication skills or whatever thing I need to do. Then, in that way, how do we, what are some of the things that we have to almost think about when we are thinking about this change process? Is there some things that we need to just get in our minds this month as we go through this conversation, that when we are thinking about change, these are some things, because you have some tools, some things that can help us to remember and noodle on and figure out, keep in our back pockets as we go along.
Yes, yes. I think one good tool is when you know that end
Yeah.
from the beginning, when you anticipate or perceive that change that's happening, set a goal, right?
Mm,
If you set a goal, then you work towards your goal.
yeah.
If that changes, okay, if I'm 60, I don't want to have diabetes. What can I do to prevent me from having diabetes at 60? If I
Yeah.
don't want to have hypertension, what can I do now to make
Mm,
sure that when I hit 60, I don't have hypertension, that I have the energy that I need to do what I want to do? Set a goal, right? So if that's what you want to see, then my goal now would be I need to definitely have my checkups done. I need
mhm,
to do extra, seek knowledge on how to make sure that I am doing the right type of exercise or eating the right type of food so I prevent that from happening, right?
mhm.
We There's life insurance in this country. There's, people, you hear about life insurance all the time. And immigrants, please, if you are listening to us today and you haven't had a conversation about life insurance, please find somebody who is knowledgeable, reach out to us, and let's get you an expert to talk to. We all know it's inevitable that one day we'll be gone. What are we going to leave behind for those that we are responsible for now? So that's the goal, right? The
Yeah.
goal is I want to make sure that when I'm not there, my kids are taken care of, my income is replaced, at least some things are put in place for my family when I'm not there. So I'm going to get the life insurance that will work for this goal that I have, right?
Yeah.
It's, that new job. How do I get it? Is it just me getting promotions here at this job to get to that new job? Or do I need to go do a certification? Okay, that's my goal. And so I'm going to make sure I start taking the steps to get there. So that's what some of the things you want to do. Also, make sure you have a coach or a mentor,
Mm,
because change is hard and you don't have to deal with change alone by yourself. No, it's happening to everybody. So, and some people have already gone through that change.
yeah.
So, why go through it the hard way? Get a friend and get, a mentor or a coach. And for that goal that you set in front of you, where you want to get to with this change, find that person who will help you go through that change and help you get to where you want to get to, right? Get some new perspectives is very, very important. Gather new knowledge, new perspective about things by talking to the people that have been through that change, or find them.
Mm,
If you don't know anybody, find somebody online. Find people who understand what it means to go through that change. Immigrants, many people have migrated for many, many years into all different countries. Find that person, that immigrant that in your mind has been successful, and let them help you with your journey. So, as you go through that change, these are some of the tools. Have a friend, have a mentor, have set goals, gather new perspectives, be prepared to be open minded. Because if you have moved from one country to the other, I bet you things are not going to be the same. I bet you it's a new culture. Sometimes it's a new language. Sometimes, I mean, most of the time it's new food. Get new perspective. You are not going to succeed if you don't get new perspectives, because being set in your ways is not going to help you succeed at all. So these are some of the things you want to have in mind as you go through changes. Have these in your back pocket to help you succeed through change.
Amazing. And watch out for a group that we are going to be creating here, Masterpiece, to help build that community that will help you in your journey. It's for those who are really going to sign up for the immigrant integration program that really need that support, that system of support that will help you to achieve your goals. It's not that easy. Sometimes you want to do it, you try to do it, and it's just overwhelming. So we want to create that community that will help you to succeed because of people who have already been there, done that, and they can share and they can lend that helping hand and be that coach, that mentor that will guide you on your journey. Because let's talk about fear. Because as you're talking about this whole thing about change and getting perspective and all that, like some of us take some of the changes in stride, like we're able to move, come to a new country, but then we're afraid of what else to do, and the fear of, not just the unknown, but what next to do, being just afraid. And fear just cripples us sometimes so much that we're afraid to reach out to a cause because we're afraid that they'll reject us, that they will not respond to us. We're afraid of everything, right? And because of that, we are not able to do anything. How do we manage fear in our quest for change?
So just think about it. Accept your fear. Fear
Mm,
is natural. That's how we are made, right? Fear is natural. So, in order for us to overcome it, you want to accept your fear. Admit that you have it. That's okay. But don't let it keep you there, because, as you stay there, you are missing out on opportunities. As you
mm,
stay in that state of fear, you are still not getting to that goal. You are not getting to that ultimate place that you, in your mind, you would love to be. So
yeah.
accept it, talk about it with somebody, right? And then start moving. I liked that when I read that book, right? Hall finally decided to move, and he found joy just by moving, because as you move, you,
Mm,
you have a feeling of hope. You have
yeah.
a feeling that it's going to get better tomorrow. You have
Right.
a feeling that it's going to get good. And that feeling alone makes you, motivates you, keeps you going, rather than being stuck at that same spot that's not bringing change. When you're at the same spot that you don't expect a change, you don't know how it's going to happen, yeah, you're not taking any risk. Guess what? Ham was losing weight because there was no cheese coming their way. The place didn't change. Station C stayed empty. It doesn't matter how long you stayed there, it's the same old, same old. It's not going to change. So you find yourself in a better position, even if you don't see that ultimate happening. You experience different things,
Right.
you experience new things, you start reaching some other possibilities, you are opening yourself to those opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten. So accept your fear and move on. And I understand it's easier said than done, but talk about it. Talk about it with somebody. I already mentioned needing a coach or a mentor, friend that you can talk to. Find those people so that you can move above your fear, because the change is happening every day.
Amazing. You just said it. I was looking at the book and it says in one of the chapters, he said that when you stop being afraid, you feel good. When you stop being afraid. And I am going to put on my coach hat for a minute and say, ask yourself some questions like, what are you afraid of? Like, what is it? What is the worst case scenario? If you reached out to a coach and she did not respond, what would be the worst thing that would happen? You know, face your fears. I think sometimes a lot of immigrants are just held back by the fear of so much that they have believed already in their own minds. So we have to just confront our own selves and ask ourselves what is making us afraid. What is it? What exactly about this change is so difficult? Is it the reaching out? Is it telling our story? Because sometimes it's just in telling your story that you find the exact help you need.
Mhm.
But we've been told, don't tell your story. Don't let anyone know you're going through it, right? So those are things that hinder us from being open minded, like you said, and being able to get the help. But when we start asking ourselves, so what do I gain by just keeping this story to myself when I'm hurting, when I need help? And no one is a magician, right? Everybody will be able to help you once they hear what you're going through, but not when you're not saying anything and you're keeping it together. So we have to almost stop faking it and get real so we can get the help that we need. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. And change is often good for us. Change is very often good for us. So if you have talked through it and you are taking the actions, I can see the excitement because guess what? With this planning going on and you taking all the necessary steps to, get to your dreams, right? And I haven't used the word dream. I think we should talk about that. That's the end goal that we talked about, right? That's the
Mm,
dream. Once you see that you are working towards the materialization of that dream, you are excited. It's that feeling of hope, that feeling that you are one day going to be at this point, that you're going
yeah.
to be satisfied, that you're going to have happiness, you're going to have joy, you're going
Mm,
to have fulfillment is good. So change is often, and I cautiously use often because not every change is good. Sometimes change can, end in a bad place, but it's called risk, right? And
mm,
even if it gets to that point where it's not that great, guess what? You've learned something, which you wouldn't have learned if you had not worked towards that goal. If you wouldn't have learned it if you had not made an attempt to improve, to get better, and to move towards that dream and that goal. So definitely you want to look forward to making the adjustments and taking the steps that are leading you to that change that you are expecting.
uh, so, Akos, I'm going to just, I mean, for those who haven't read the book, just going to talk about the four characters that we have in this book. And this is a book we've been talking about. This is a book that we'll be using a lot this month, into next month a little bit. Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, Who Moved My Cheese is a very small book, very loaded. It has four imaginary characters who are just like us in a lot of ways when it comes to change. And it says that sometimes we may act like Sniff. Sniff is one of the characters in the book who sniffs out change early. So they're almost like four people that we interact with, or four people who are like us. And you have to find yourself in one of these, right? Sometimes you are blend, but a lot of times you are like one of them. So some of us, we can sniff out change early. That's coming in and seeing the situation and saying, I think that I will need some savings. I cannot leave in this emergency mode every time, right? I cannot do this for too long. I may be able to do it for some time, but not for too long. I don't want to go around using credit card for everything. It may be a season, but I know I want to change this. I want to change that one, right? So we can be like a sniff. And some of us will be like a scurry who scurries into action. He knows that change is coming and moves quickly to do something about it. Starts going back to school to do something or getting a new career because they know they cannot stay in this forever, right? So they're scurrying into something else. Or we can be like a ham who denies and resists change as he fears it will lead to something worse. And this is one of the areas that we've been talking about. We fear that, our change will lead us somewhere that we don't want to be and all that. Well, if we don't do anything about it, if we don't make any changes, and that's where we will be, right? So then the last one is the whore. Whore guy is the one who learns to adapt in time when he sees changing can lead to something better. Changing can lead to something better. So for me, I think that a lot of us, we've already made the change. A lot of us as immigrants, we've made the change. I am just hoping that these few weeks, as we talk about change, will help you to actually focus on this change that you've made and make it worthwhile, you know, as opposed to I made the change, but I just settled. I got here, yes, but that's it. If we make the change, then let's make the change. Let's really make the change that helps us for the future that we were looking for, that gets us to the dream that we are looking for, right? So, of course, I know we are coming up on the top of the hour for us here, but what are your thoughts in how do we make sure that these four characters that we are talking about in the book and how they are, aligning themselves to change, which we can find in ourselves as we look at them, because they always look like we look like them in so many ways. How do we make sure that we are learning from their situations and not falling into either a similar thing or we are doing better than what they did, you know?
So that is a great question. And I think for me personally, I always look around, right? In my
Mm,
family right now, we have, like within my siblings, we are all growing without, nuclear families. And then I have the uncles and aunts and the grandpas and the grandmas, right, who've lived before us. And we see the type of life they had. And sometimes, you can look at somebody in a generation under the generation above and say, this one is going to be just like that one.
right.
Why? Because it's written on the wall.
Mm,
That change is written on the wall, right? We
mm,
are talking about it today. We are all hearing it. We've heard about scary. We've heard about hem. We've heard about haw. We heard about sniff. What do we want to look like? Do we want to look like or be like Sniff, who is sniffing the change and taking action? Or do we want to be like him, who is stuck in his ways and just complains and never takes action? And even when they are dying, they still stay in the same place. Who do you want to be like? So that's a decision that must come from you as we talk about change, right?
right.
What type of person do you want to be when it comes to change? If
Mm,
you don't make up your mind that you want to be, you want to see different outcomes, it's not going to come to you.
wow.
And it's hard to be crippled, to be in a place where there is no hope, that you
Mhm,
wish you had the money, but you didn't make any changes. You didn't, try to improve to get there. You didn't put in all the things that you needed to do to have that money. It's sad when you feel like, oh, I wish by the time I'm 50, I have a mansion, and
mm,
you are not taking any steps to get that mansion, because since I've been around, and I've been around quite a bit, I haven't seen any mansions just show up at your door unless you do something to get there and buy them. So,
mm,
there is all these things, and we see it. Like I said, we have the examples around us, even if it's not in our home, in our families, right? We can look around. There are role models all over. People have written books. We hear stories of, people's lives. And recently, the Ghanaian footballer who passed away, Christian
right.
Achu, right? He was only 31, and
Yeah,
if you read about the things and you hear about the things that he was able to do, it tells you that it doesn't matter your age, right?
yeah,
If you dream, if you know that change is happening and you want to do things to get to that goal that you have set for yourself, you can do it no matter what time, what age, where you are, as long as you start taking the steps. That's
right.
what matters. All we are talking about here, take the steps, take the steps. So as the change happens, you are prepared to deal with it. Take the steps. So, one thing that I want to stress to everybody that's listening here is look around you. Who do you want to be like? Take an example, follow a role model, and then model after them. Learn from them, right? And try
Mm,
to do the things that they did if you can. If not, and that doesn't work for you, talk to somebody else. Have a mentor that will help you with your situation to go from point A to point B so that you will easily deal with that change that is coming your way. So figure it out, ask yourself what you want that to be, and then take the steps.
Yeah, amazing. You know, John D. Rockefeller said something years ago, and I think for me is one of the quotes about change that really is important to remember. Says that we should not be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. Okay. We should not be afraid to give up good to go for great. A lot of us, we are good. We've come to a good place. As immigrants, we are in the US. It's a good place, but we have greatness ahead of us. There's so much greatness. There's so much opportunity that this is not the time to settle. This is not the time to just feel like, we are here, we've arrived. What can we do more? Is the question. And that will mean how much more change is there to be done. And so we are still in the process of change. We haven't arrived yet, and that is something that we all have to learn to keep in perspective. Even if we think we have arrived, our kids haven't arrived. The next generation hasn't arrived. There's still more change to be done. There's still more work to be done. So how do we get together and continue with this spirit of change?
I think I think you're frozen. But if
Not
I
giving. Okay.
go
Can
ahead.
you see me now? All right. So I was saying that until we get to that place of, us all being able to do the things that we can do to move the next generation forward, then we cannot say that change is done. For change, it will continue to go on and on and on. And we have to just embrace it and make the best out of it. So, of course, thank you for taking the time this Saturday. And for all of you who joined, I see you all. I am excited you joined. This is just the beginning. There's so much more. We are going to talk about how to, leverage change for your next level. How does that look like? How do we do that? Right. And we're going to talk about so many ways that we can use change for good and to help us do better. So join us again as we continue with our change and embracing change series this month into April. Have a great, great rest of your afternoon, evening, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.